Telecom czars Kumar Mangalam Birla and Sunil Bharti Mittal met Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in North Block earlier this evening, possibly to seek a lifeline amidst AGR woes. The meeting comes on the back of the fear that if the telecom department takes any coercive action, the sector would face a huge blow and may lead to a private sector duopoly. In fact, ET Now has exclusively learned that telecom companies have proposed 3 key options to the finance minister, and one of them may be depositing these dues in a telecom fund and then these companies getting soft loans. As we take you through all of those options and what the sector could go through, let's just play out for you what Sunil Bharti Mittal and Kumar Mangalam Birla said after that meet to ET Now.
In general terms, telecom industry has been in stress for 3.5 years. Yeah. This industry is very vital to the nation's digital agenda and for many other industries that ride on it. Employment, government taxes, and the only thing that the government now really needs to focus is how to ensure sustainability of the sector. I am not, AGR dues I am not discussing anymore. The Supreme Court is dealing with it and we are responding to that. You know, we have made our payments and we are working towards it.
Nothing that I can share just now. So when I can, we will definitely tell you.
Can you talk about the best in the telecom sector?
That is all in the public domain, right? There's no other insight that I can add about the sector.
Is it a do or die moment for telecom companies
Let us see.
All right. What really can the government do? What are the options we should look at? To speak more on this, I'm speaking to Rajiv Sharma, Institutional Equity Research, SBI Cap Securities. I'm also speaking today with Mr. Sirohi, SS Sirohi, former member of the Telecom Commission. Welcome to both of you and thank you for speaking with us. Mr. Sharma, Rajiv Sharma, let's begin by, looking at what the government can do at this point, considering that the Supreme Court has rebuffed this effort.
We are almost at the last stage where it's so difficult to do much. But for government, through an ordinance, it's always possible to do something the last minute. I'm surprised that this matter is open since October 24th, and we are in February 24th, and nothing has come from the government so far, and nor the telcos have had such meetings with DOT or the ministry earlier in this depth, which they're having now. I guess there was a lot of hopes with the review petition, though if you look historically, the success rate has been lower with such petitions. That relief in terms of extension, relief in terms of a soft loan or something, all the 3 options which have been floating around from your channel, all of them are possible. But look at this, you have a Vivad Se Vishwas scheme which is going on as a tax dispute settlement scheme. I know this is not tax, but this is a big dispute, and if the interest and taxes on interest, all that can be exempted and just the principal amount be taken, this is a sector which really needs that scheme today, and government can very much do that.
And before we move ahead, let's take a look at this ET Now exclusive with my colleague Nayantara Rai, who's got us some of the options that the government is looking at to rescue the telecom sector. Nayantara?
What we understand is that there is a new option on the table to find a fix to the adjusted gross revenue mess, AGR mess, which has the potential to take down the entire telecom sector. And make Vodafone Idea, of course, a going concern. That's the one in the biggest trouble. For the new option that is on the table, option 1, have a telecom stressed fund. So the payments that are made by the telecom companies as AGR, it goes to this fund, and the government of India gives soft loans to the telecom companies. So it's a way being thought of to manage cash flows. The telecom companies, it's fiscally neutral for the central exchequer as well, gives an opportunity for the sector to continue investing, carry out capex plans, maybe even participate in the upcoming 5G auction. So that's one option. Soft loans by the government of India by setting up a telecom fund from the AGRs it actually receives from the telecom companies. Option number 2. You've been hearing about this for a while. It's elongate the timeline as far as AGR payments go. We were the first ones to break this story. It's something the Reserve Bank of India and the governor are believed to have suggested to the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Elongate the timeline, and we understand the government meanwhile is also taking legal opinion on waiving off the penalty, the interest on interest, the interest payments, so make sure that the sector stays alive. And the third option that we're being told about, a legislation or an ordinance. Call it ironical, we had a legislation a few years back, the retrospective tax to make Vodafone pay, and now it's being considered a legislation and ordinance to save Vodafone.
You know, we're looking at the three options that, ET now has exclusively learnt that the government might look at. One, of course, is a telecom stressed fund as a solution to the whole AGR mess, where those payments to the government can be put in this telecom fund and given as loans by soft loans as government to the telcos. We're looking at elongating the timeline of payment of those dues and spectrum dues. Some kind of relief has already been given on spectrum due payments in the past, but clearly that was not enough. The government is also taking legal opinion to waive off penalties and interest payments on AGR dues. And of course, will there be an ordinance or any kind of legislation where they will swoop in and save the telcos? Mr. Sirohi, do you think any of these options are feasible? And this whole cry that the government must step in, even though the Supreme Court has rebuffed the telcos' efforts, you can't let one whole industry sink.
Well, one thing is very clear that telcos, the telcos will have to pay up all the relevant dues as per Supreme Court judgment. There is no denying the fact. Number two, now the government is trying to step in to find a solution in such a manner so that the companies are able to pay up their AGR dues to the Supreme Court and comply that order, as well as they have some mechanism in which their sustainability can be, ascertained. So the three options which you are telling, I am not aware about them, but in any case, this the option of telecom stress fund, I don't know what are the details, because the question is who will put fund into that stress fund, and how, at what rate, and who will give, whether government will start doing, giving the loans out of those things. I mean, so many things have to be worked out. If it is there, is it an SPV or what it is? So what is the structure of that? So I don't know what is the feasibility finally comes out of that. I doubt if anything could be of this nature if they are able to work out. But anyway, all these things are possible. Second is, waiving of the penalties and interest of the penalties. Right. This is not feasible, because all these penalties and these things are as per the license conditions, and anything which has to be done can be only prospective. In license condition will have to be amended, and that is for future only. Otherwise, license can't be tampered with. So whatever past is there, nobody can waive off these penalties. So that's, I don't think that is a very feasible one. Now, the third one is, what was that? Can you remind me? What is the third one? Option?
The telecom sector. Because the calls have increased for the government to step in. You can't sit and have one sector just, packing up with thousands of people out of jobs. You have a possible duopoly. No government can really do that. Yes.
Okay, fine. That's one thing is very heartening to note that government is trying to find a solution, but the solution has to be not to be seen, appearing to be seen as favoring one company or two companies. This solution has to be comprehensive, long-lasting, and also taking care of sustainability and growth of the sector. It has to be a holistic solution, and there can't be a solution in a knee-jerk manner. It has to be well thought of solution, which will really ensure the viability of the whole sector for everybody. So any solution which is aimed only to giving a lift to only one company may not be feasible. Secondly, I think what is possible for the government, my suggestion is there, that what they can do in future, right now, retrospectively nothing can be done. So for prospective manner, they can remove the license fee, or they can keep the token license fee. So they will get the advantage of 8%. 8% is the license fee. And they can return their GST dues.
Let me get Rajiv into this. Let me get Rajiv into some of the options that Mr. Sirohi is talking about.
Dues 7,000.
Yeah.
Let me complete it. Please, let me complete the whole package.
Yeah.
And 7,000 crores, which is in the tax relief which they have to get, that can be given. And also, there is the floor price. They can set the data floor price in such a manner so that this can be increased to that level, which will give a viability of the sector. The moment the sector becomes viable, investor will come in, and including the banks. Banks will give them loan, and through that loan, they can pay up the AGR dues. So that's the solution. Appears to be a better solution in which you are not favoring anybody, and it is a secular kind of solution which have a far-reaching consequences, positive consequences for the industry.
Why don't you comment on some of those solutions that Mr. Sirohi is talking about, and also the fact that this is quite a strange situation. This is a legal case which was pursued by the Department of Telecom for the last many years. It is after they won this case, now essentially the same government is looking at backtracking on what has happened because they can't really realize these dues that they have been pursuing. It is also a broader perspective and narrative on our policy making process, isn't it?
Yes, means this case, will go in history as the case as to what you should not do. Both as a regulator, both as a party to the case, being a telco, this will very much go like that in the history. But what Mr. Sirohi is saying about sustainability of the sector, it's a very valid point. And when you talk about sustainability, it's just not about, that Vodafone idea. Let's say the first option, which is about having soft loans from a telecom fund. Government gives loans for spectrum, whatever has been bought. So similar, structure can be created. But look at Vodafone Idea. Their profitability is, under pressure because of subscriber loss, because they have not been able to do much capex. And if the low capex continues, because you have stipulated payments for spectrum, now AGR, interest on the huge debt which is already there, what is left for the capex? So they will keep losing market share. Instead of the shop being shut down tomorrow, you will have a scenario where gradually the market share is going, gradually the scale is diminishing. So that's not the not an option which will lead to sustainability. License fee waiver is a definite option, but we've not seen reduction in that amount from 100 basis point or 200 basis points. So complete waiver is a far cry in my view, and doesn't looks possible given that the government has its own fiscal deficit issues.
Rajiv, what are the other points that the government can look at beyond AGR at the telecom sector in a whole? Because the very important point you made is it's not going to be merely enough to bail them out right now and kick the can down the road. There are endemic issues in this sector with lower ARPUs. There have been one round of tariff hikes, but that might not cut it enough. You need more capex, which these companies are not able to do. What is the big picture here?
See, the big picture is the sector debt, which is huge and which is with everyone. And these spectrum pricing for future spectrum, which all the telcos will need some point of time. Now, one important aspect is there is a lot of infra sharing in place today between Bharti and Vodafone. So if Vodafone was to shut shop, the cost for Bharti would go up, and we will not remain the lowest tariff market anymore. Even after this recent price hikes, they may be just far too less for the cost structure we are going to talk about in future. So government can definitely do things around floor pricing. The GST input credit, that's a very meritorious claim by the telcos. And look at the fact that the Indian telecom sector is one of the highly taxed sector globally. So look at the overall taxation in the sector and have a glide path over the next 3 to 4 years and bring it down. That will attract foreign investment. Floor tariffs will attract more investment, and maybe you will see capex increasing in the coming days. But we all had so many hopes since October when the ruling came, in front of us. We've not seen much except some moratorium coming on the spectrum payments. So there is a long list as to what can be done, but we can only expect some baby steps. Now that the situation is drastic, maybe something around a package which just helps Vodafone Idea to sustain, and there are no immediate job losses given, the slowdown narrative and green shots and all that is being debated. Maybe only that much is there, which is relaxation of payments over a period of 8 to 10 years or lesser. But I don't see there is beyond, anything beyond that at this moment.
In on this, because you usually had strong views. Mr. Sirohi, do you think that the government should step in to ensure Vodafone Idea, specifically Vodafone Idea, does not shut because of the message it sends out to the telecom industry for ease of doing business in India, for job losses in the middle of a slowdown?
No, they can't do it. It's a private sector. How the government can rescue a particular company? It's not practical. What practical things I suggested that can be that is there. Plus, you can in future you can reduce the SUC also, and also the spectrum prices for future spectrums. That will make the whole sector viable and positive outlook, with a positive outlook, and that will really make the bankers to come and give the loans, and that's how things will start again gearing up.
All right.
So the solutions which are being, options which are being given, they appear to be very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. What of these options, Rajiv, do you think is most feasible? The three options that we are talking about today.
See, soft loans is possible because government is already having a practice of funding the spectrum in the auctions, that you pay 25-30% upfront and rest is financed by the government, and it's government loan liabilities. Extended payment timelines, you will have to really seek, so courts have taken a very harsh stand, the apex court. So I don't know if that will be feasible at this moment. So before 17th March, in that case, DOT and the government of India will have to make an application that they are exploring this option, and the court may, call for some detailed explanation. Though I'm not a legal expert, but that's possible because the apex court has taken a very harsh stand, and by 17th March, everything needs to be paid up. Ordinance, that's always possible, and we've seen in many cases earlier, even in the Vodafone tax case, that was done. Ordinance or a retrospective ordinance, anything is possible, but looks unlikely given the whole backdrop of where the telecom sector has been, given the whole 2G thing. I think it will be very tricky at this point of time. So the soft loans look most visible, but it will be the most least effective option in my view.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Sirohi and Rajiv, for joining us as we try to dissect what will happen next with the telecom sector.